They just drop something cryptic, and once you pull the blur apart, it actually says a lot. The Russo brothers posted a deliberately fuzzy image tagged #Doomsday is coming, and the chaos began immediately. Fans are convinced the white marks in that blur aren't random. They look a lot like chalkboard equations, and the consensus is those are Reed Richards' notes inside the Baxter building. So what are we actually seeing? At first glance, it's just a grainy out-of-focus capture. But that's the point. The Russos have used this exact tease tactic before, give just enough visual info to spark conversation while keeping the actual reveal under wraps. The blur hides details, but not meaning. If you freeze frame, the shapes and spacing match the kind of chalk work we saw in the Fantastic Four material, and the retro, tactile set language lines up with the 1960s-inspired Baxter tech we've already been shown. That's why so many outlets and fans immediately tied this image to Reed's lab. Why does Reed's blackboard matter here? Because Reed Richards in comics is obsessively focused on the incursions, the multiverse problem, where universes collide and die. If that chalkboard is his work, it suggests the Russos are leaning into those incursion stakes, math and equations as world-ending clues. The theory is simple and terrifying. Reed is trying to calculate a way to stop universes from collapsing, and those symbols are a visual shorthand for big, smart people trying something desperate. In other words, this isn't just a tech prop, it's foreshadowing the film's central problem. There's more evidence tying these pieces together. The Russos directed the Thunderbolts * post-credits material and reportedly shot that sequence on the Avengers Doomsday set, not on the Thunderbolts set. That means elements from Fantastic Four and other standalone films have already been folded into the Doomsday shoot. Cross-pollination like this strongly implies shared locations, story beats, and practical set usage. When you combine that with the Reed blackboard read, you get a clear behind-the-scenes signal. Doomsday will directly engage with Fantastic Four tech and ideas. So how does Dr. Doom fit? From what's leaked and teased, RDJ's Doom isn't introduced as a garden-variety bad guy. Sources suggest he believes his plan is the only way to save the larger multiverse, a morally inverted, I'm doing this for everyone impulse not unlike Thanos. That sets up the central clash. Heroes who want to preserve their universes versus a Doom who would sacrifice some to save more. If Reed's equations end in there's nothing we can do, Doom's plan becomes the dangerous alternative, grand, horrific, and framed as salvation. That's basically the time runs out concept condensed for film. Brilliant people reach the same dead end, someone else offers a monstrous solution, and conflict explodes. Who's actually on set with Reed? A leaked image and on-set movements point to a mixed roster. John Walker / US agent appears in shots tied to the Doomsday shoot. Shuri's gear shows up in other frames, and new or returning X-Men talent is already confirmed to be filming. Letitia Wright herself teased a redesigned Black Panther suit for Doomsday, which supports the idea that Shuri will be physically present and active in whatever Baxter world scenes we're seeing. This lines up with multiple reports that the Russos are bringing MCU heroes into the 828 universe to collaborate, which creates the perfect moment for short, tense team-ups, and even brief misunderstandings that lead to fights, then teams. Picture the scene. Reed hunched over a chalkboard, scribbling a proof that keeps collapsing into contradictions. Around him are faces you'd expect, and faces you wouldn't, not because they're random, but because this film is a crossroads. Characters who arrive thinking they're solving a problem may discover they're part of one. Tension flares, someone suggests a risky solution, and the camera lingers on that line of chalk like a countdown. That design, the tactile ship controls, the retro panels, the color-coded stations, isn't just set dressing. It's a way for the filmmakers to visually link Fantastic Four science with the MCU's more familiar tech, saying, these worlds are connecting now, and their problems are the same. Now the big question fans will argue about in the comments, is Doom a villain or a tragic savior? Expect the movie to blur that line. The comics' time runs out material has Reed reach a place of existential defeat. The film adaptation seems poised to echo that while changing the beats and players. Doom may genuinely believe his method is the only solution. That creates a moral puzzle. Do you stop someone who's trying to save millions if the method destroys billions? That question isn't just a setup for spectacle, it's the emotional engine that puts heroes at ideological odds and fuels the kind of heartbreaking choices that can define an era of superhero storytelling. Finally, this teaser is a control move. The Russos gave fans a breadcrumb that proves three things at once. They're leaning into multiversal math, they're intentionally crossing Fantastic Four and MCU production worlds, and they're building to a moral and literal clash with Doom as the odds-on focal point. Expect short scenes of confusion and skirmishes as teams meet, a tense period of collaborative problem-solving in Reed's lab, and then the eventual pivot where someone proposes proposes a solution that is beautiful in logic and monstrous in consequence. That pivot is the kind of moment that can split fans, and that's almost certainly the point. If you want to dig deeper, watch the Russos' social drop again and freeze frame the chalk marks. Look for repeating symbols and the yellowish paneling at the bottom of the board. Those small design clues are what the Russos are using to point viewers toward the Baxter building without a full reveal. And keep an eye on returning cast confirmations and post-credit tie-ins. The set level overlap we've already seen suggests Avengers. Doomsday will be an event built out of total integration, not isolated cameos. So, bottom line, the blur is intentional. The chalk marks likely belong to Reed Richards, and the tease signals a multiversal problem that will force alliances, betrayals, and impossible choices. Whether Doom is villain or necessary evil, his plan promises to be one of the film's core philosophical battlegrounds. If you love plot puzzles and moral spikes, this is the exact sort of tease that'll keep you watching every new image and clip the Russos drop for the next year. Now tell me, what tiny detail did you spot in that blur that everyone else missed?